ABC of Home Improvement is here today to have a talk show, have people call in and understand that whatever questions come up, we'll be happy to work with them. Lee's an architect. I'm a kitchen cabinet supplier. And Earl, what are you doing, Earl?
Well, a little bit of everything and master of none.
That's how it always starts. That's why we always pick on you, Earl, because you're really good at everything you do.
A little bit good.
Let me introduce Lee. He's almost coming into the seat right now. He's got the camera set up, and we're looking pretty good. Rich is back in the booth. I'd like to say hello to him. And I'd like to start the show off. Lee, say hello to everybody.
Good morning, folks. Pleasure to be here. After 5 or 6 years off the air, we're back with an encyclopedia of all the information you need for your home improvement projects. We'd like to throw a shout-out. 651-1110. Give us a call. We're taking calls today, our first day on the air. We're going to just take a moment of silence for today's 9/11 commemorative, and we'll just start that now. Okay, folks. We all have our thoughts and prayers with the folks down at that 9/11 site.
Amen.
Okay, so today, Mike, what would we like to start with about the home improvement process?
I think a question comes up every time in our own businesses has to do with what do we do, how do we select, how do we get started whenever there's a project involved. People always have a basic question. They go, Lee, Mike, Earl, I have a project coming up. It could be a deck, it could be replacing windows, it could be a new kitchen. How do you get started in this type of thing? Lee, as an architect, how do you hear it all the time?
Well, we sometimes people will call up the architect a little before they really should. They should really collect their information, get the project parameters down in their own minds first, and then bring in the professional to sort of guide them through the process. So I would say the first things that you would want to try and do is to, figure out, first of all, a realistic budget for your project.
That's really important, Lee. A budget determines what they're going to do, who they're going to work with, and get some basic ideas where to start with at the same time, how far they can go.
Yes, and Earl will tell you sometimes we go out and we meet with people who have grand ideas and beautiful project concepts, and the budget does not meet the reality of what they're trying to accomplish. And so
it's sad, but that's really true.
You waste a lot of time, and sometimes the professional gets a little bit of the heat because they continue along the process. So I myself have learned early on not to do that, but to try and take them by the hand and initially just what is the budget. So the first thing is, before you meet with anyone or talk to anyone, decide what kind of monies you have or funds are available, and then always keep 10 to 15% back for unforeseen conditions.
A little buffer.
Right, a buffer in the renovation process.
That's probably a good idea. Earl, what do you think on that one?
Well, I say let's get started. I brought my wheelbarrow over here today. I got some sand, some water, some cement.
What are you building?
Well, over here I got my hoe. I figured let's get our hands dirty. Let's go.
All right,
let's get moving.
I like that.
That sounds a start. Yeah.
So we're going to get started with our process. So we have our budget together, and now we look for pictures and design concepts and things or other projects in your neighborhood or that your friends might have done or a relative that you felt is similar to what you want to do, and we have to make a conglomeration of pictures. So I tell people to get a loose leaf book and go through magazines and go and photograph some houses and go photograph the things that you really like and create your wish list, right, Mike?
I do the same thing. I don't use a loose leaf, though. I don't trust those. I use a composition book. I always tell them, go from the left to right, write down all your questions, and whatever you're really going to buy and settle down with, put that on the other side of the book and work your way backwards. So if you've got a particular paint or a particular type of wood or a particular whatever it might be, that's how you carry it with you. I always tell people two things you need: a little composition book and take a canvas bag so you can carry some samples with you at the same time.
A big canvas bag by the time you get done.
The back of the car usually is almost enough for half the stuff you carry.
So, Mike, if we have those two things accomplished, if the client or the person, prospective buildee is going to have these things together, if you have that stuff in hand, as well as a survey is very important. So you need to have your property and boundary survey.
Hopefully they come in with a plot plan. Most people have that,
And if you don't have it, there are ways to locate it that people should do prior to meeting, again, with the professionals, because the professional can't really give you a fair assessment of what the project entails because there are zoning issues and regulations. So as a homeowner, a lot of the people do not want to interface with the building department. They feel a little intimidated.
Understandable, something new and different for them,
Right. So you try and at least go to your attorney that you closed the house with and get a copy of the survey. Some people might have the surveys.
Plot plan
Some
survey.
people didn't have a survey when they bought the property. They just did it with a deed. So you're going to need that prior to the start of any project, a home improvement project, that is going outside of the building. If you're working within, like you're doing a basement or a kitchen or a bathroom renovation, and you're not building anything out of your house or on top of your house,
Not an add-on you're talking about.
correct. Anything that's being done under roof of an existing residence, you most likely will not need the survey.
Basically replacing at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Replacing and renovating.
So let's basically pick out a project. Let's create a project of some sort.
Well, we can start with, let's say you're going to just be doing a little kitchen addition at the back of your house. You have a split level or a high ranch house.
So let's say you're coming out 8 feet.
So you create you're going to have to start the process again by going through your design magazines and picking out some pictures and getting an idea and concept and boiling it down so you're not wasting anybody's time per se on a selection process. You should have 4 or 5 different colors and different textures and things that you pretty much know you want to see, and then you can go through those schemes. So the process would probably start, Mike, by going
If someone
and getting
gets
that.
together, as long as it's kitchens, that's my specialty, and they're coming in, they've got a basic idea what they'd like to do. At that point, they've got a plot plan, they've already talked to their attorney, they've gotten copies from that or the town if need be, and they sit down with me and they're ready to start talking. If they're going to do an addition, I'd probably call Lee up and start saying, listen, I've got a gal here looking to do like a 6-8 foot extension out of the building. What do you think? Lee might talk about the property. Is there any elevation problems, any water problems, any of that basic stuff? At that point, we can basically start to think about designing the outside of the house. With that in mind, they can then change their configuration. So you have a couple of processes going on. You've got the addition itself, if that's going to be it. You've got the cabinet look, basically. You've got appliances that have to come in sooner or later. You've got flooring. You've got a basic few things happening at that point.
Yes. Well, we can ask Earl. I mean, Earl specializes sometimes in doing the demolition and removal at the start of these projects. And really, before the whole process can start, is a checklist of items that need to be done in preparation, like sealing off gas valves and gas pipes, sealing up plumbing, hot and cold water.
Call before you dig.
Call before you dig if you're going outside, right?
Earl, you know
See?
that, huh?
All of these things need to be taken care of prior to the start of any construction work, which again, and then, you need to make plans, especially on a kitchen job. Where are you going to eat for 3 weeks? How's dinner working? Where are the kids going to go to do their homework and so forth?
Is water still running?
Right. There needs to be an anticipation of what's actually going to happen. And a lot of times you find, again, the homeowner is not truly prepared for all of these things that are going to happen in the 2 to 3 months while they're renovating their kitchen. So at
this point, you're discussing everything with them. You're starting to educate them a little bit. They're starting to gather some information at the same time. They're looking at their pictures. They might be down to an appliance store looking at their selections, what's available. They're going to create a budget for appliances. They're going to look at cabinetry. We're going to create basically a budget for that, too, once we know the layout we're going to do. And then we're going to bring in a construction management type of a person. Earl, I think at that point, where would you want to start with that one?
Well, you can start anywhere. I've already got my lumber list together. I'm going to head over to the lumber yard shortly. Since we will not mention their names, since their check and their sponsorship contract did not arrive today as promised.
That's correct.
Okay, but next week, hopefully, we hope to have them on the air. And I'm going to head over there and get my supplies and, going to hammer some boards all day. We're going to get it all set up.
That's right. That's right. And again, there are 2 different ways to approach your project now that you're bringing up the design and build process, is that you could retain an architect or an engineer and do your project through them, and then hire a general contractor. And that's a 2-step process. There's the 1-step process where the design and build is being done together in one house.
Like, who would you recommend? American
Design and Build. If you want to give them a call, if anyone's listening out there and you have a project coming up.
What number would you call them?
You can give them a call, 845.
283-6763.
That's correct. I mean, they are one of the few companies up here that actually incorporates the architect and builder together to get a better job done at a smaller fee. So, overall, if you put...
It's good to work with professionals, I think. Too.
And somebody who's been doing it for 20 years in the business, you want to be able to do that. So, if you have some questions, we'd like to hear from you today at 561-1110. Give us a call. We're going to go out on break here shortly, and we're hoping to hear from you as soon as we get back.
ABC Home Improvement is here today to have a talk show, have people call in and understand that whatever questions come up, we'll be happy to work with them. Lee's an architect. I'm a kitchen cabinet supplier. And Earl, what are you doing, Earl?
Well, a little bit of everything and master of none.
Back to where we were before with our project. I mean, that's important also. We've now selected an addition. We've now selected a new kitchen being put in. We've talked about a budget, which is the most important thing, to be able to anticipate what your thoughts are, and with a budget to be able to expand on that to see if you would like to do anything else. Once that's basically underway, then it's a matter of working directly with the contractor or the architect who's running the particular project to be able to get the day-to-days. And someone has to be available day-to-day in case of, ongoing incidents, I'll call it at this point. You have to be able to prepare yourself where you're going to have dinner with the kids. You've got to be responsible for the animals. You've got to really be aware that a project of this nature is a 24-hour project because it's your house.
Right, Mike, and they have to understand too the preparation work. So you get all the prep out of the way, and now you're ready to start demolishing the house. This is the best part for the contractor, but the most unnerving, right, for the homeowner to see your investment being taken apart, disassembled.
It's also
piece by
amazing how
piece.
all that takes place. You know
Right,
what I'm saying?
right. Yeah, all of a
They
sudden,
see-
there's a mess. There's a mess, and people want to know what's going to happen next, Mike, right?
It's like that in every project, though. Taking down something, removing something goes very quick. Starting to get the craftsmen involved and the details and the technicians and all the details required to do a project of that nature takes time. And then if you know ahead of time where you're going to be in week 2, week 4, week 5.
How important is that schedule, Mike? A lot of contractors do not use a schedule. This is why,
I can't
again,
deal
when
with
we
that.
pick out American Design and Build, who's been in this business for 20 years, okay, if you give them a call, when that project is scheduled, you will know on a weekly basis by a job log what is happening, what is going to happen, if there is a delay, if the schedule is changing, if the budget is changing.
You got to call the people on good times. If there's a problem, bad times, I call those the bad times. You got to keep everyone abreast of what's happening. There's also what I call a cheat sheet where the customer can leave out her questions that she has on her mind.
We see those a lot, don't we?
Yeah. So every time they make little notes in the evening on their night table and they transfer it over to that, what I call that master sheet that they create.
Right.
And every time the project gets a little further down the road and we start to see them scratch out that particular line, then you get a feeling that they're actually seeing the project moving along as projected.
There's some accomplishment. They do see progress.
Well, that's how projects are. If you work with professionals, it really makes life easier.
Yeah, maybe we can put it a little differently here and give us a shout, 651-1110, if you've had any experiences that have not been good with a general contractor. We here with American Design and Build offer a project manager or a construction management team, a construction manager, who is going to be somebody who is going to be available on a daily basis, who is a licensed professional and is able to carry out these projects from start to finish with a very good reputation. We do find that there are a lot of small companies out there that do not follow certain standards and guidelines, which equates to the homeowner later on paying more dollars at the back end. So if you've had any sort of an experience like that, and you can enlighten our listeners out there, perhaps give us a call on that as well.
I think also what we should do is let people know that not just the large kitchen projects, besides we'll be happy to do, but also a replacement window, a deck may be going on.
Basements, Earl.
Billy knows it's enough situations happening, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, so the billing part is the least of our problems, you know what I'm saying? The point is to be able to satisfy each and all those needs that do come up.
Well, let's go into the idea of why do you need a design in the first place for so let's say a kitchen layout, instead of just the architect will lay out a schematic plan or so forth, and we will see if the plan meets the requirements of the homeowner, but most of the times they have to come into a specialist to lay out the kitchen and get every square inch accounted for and make it usable. So, Mike, functionality in the kitchen, designer versus, an architect trying to lay out the kitchen.
Well, designers do nothing but that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I've been in the kitchen for over 30 years. Oh, Rich saying we're getting a phone call.
Okay, Mike.
Go ahead.
Hi, this is a little bit off the subject, but I was wondering whether installing a water heater is something that someone could do on their own, or is it something that should only be done by a professional plumber? I know this is off topic, but
No, off
I thought you
topic's
might be able
okay. That's okay. That's a legitimate question.
Are you a homeowner?
Yes.
And you're thinking about fixing your leaky Hot water heater?
Yeah, it's going. It's been flooding the area of my basement, and the last time I had a plumber installed, it cost me just about $1,000.
Yeah.
And I was wondering whether, perhaps with the help of friends who are good handymen, it's a job that someone could do himself, or is it something that you would advise a homeowner to stay away from?
Both. And I'm going to tell you why. If you can afford to have a professional come in there, absolutely go and do it. But if you can't afford, if you're that tight, then maybe you can go take a Polaroid of it, so that when you take the hacksaw and you cut out the pipes going to it and disconnect the wires going to it, you can put it back together the right way.
Right. You're playing with gas and combustibles here, so.
Right. So you should have a. But if you can't, if you absolutely can't afford it, you could do it on your home. We don't recommend it. We'd like to see you to call a professional, plumber, electrician. Have a plumber come in there and do it.
Right, because then you'll also get a warranty from the professional, whereas if you sweat a fitting together and put those pipes back and you have a leak up on top and it leaks down into the system, now your system is not going to work and you might void the warranty on the unit.
I guess it's not that I can't afford it, but I was just trying to save money, but I appreciate your advice.
Excellent call.
The gas too.
Well,
Thank you
for
very
calling
much.
us.
Okay, Mike, that was interesting.
That was really good. Back to that design question that we were working on ourselves here. I myself have been doing kitchens for over 30 years, so designing is something I'm accustomed to. I have all the software on the computer, which enables me to create the design and then at the end be able to take a hard copy and show the client how it's actually her new kitchen's going to look.
And 3 dimensions. This is all 3-dimensional.
Exactly. It's all 3D, Lee. And at that point where they have maybe a straight wall or a couple of spots in the kitchen where the appliances and the cabinets are currently, as compared to the new layout, they can now see how the new kitchen will look. And that's pretty amazing because they never had a chance to see that before at all.
Right. The 3D technology has come a long way in the last few years, allowing you not only to select a style and a cabinet detail, but also then to put into it the textures and the colors so you can actually see a full rendering of the kitchen that you're going to receive and modify it before it gets installed or before you order.
You know what else is interesting, too? Today, things have changed dramatically from the older days. I say 30 years ago, 20 years ago. Appliances have been upgraded dramatically. We now do hoods over the professional stoves in such a professional-looking way that people are amazed that they can actually have that in their own homes.
Exactly.
So basically, with knowing a budget, back to that same word budget, you can then do an awful lot of things. It doesn't always have to be the most expensive. It can be available today because today's market is geared towards supply and demand. If maple is a major product and people want maple cabinets, it's going to be available at all price ranges. If you want cherry, that'll also be available in all price ranges. So the budget will create that type of look besides the design after it's done too.
Now, Mike, does that cost the homeowner money to come to you and create these designs? Is there a fee service like other designers charge a fee?
I think once they're working with their contractor at that point, or if that's all they're doing is just a change of the cabinets and they want to get involved, even like with the last customer himself, he wants to do something and they have an idea, I'll be happy to work with serious people at that point too.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. Earl, you have anything to add about that design process there on the kitchen cabinets or anything?
I don't know. I think you guys covered it well.
Okay,
what I'd like to do is get a quick overview. Let's just slow it down a little bit.
Go ahead.
And you give a quick overview of the program and how it's going to work each week. We'll start out with our, what do you start off with? You start off with a plan.
Right, exactly. So, we can go right back to where we were after we've, collected all our information and set up the design process. But, call in the design professional. And the design professional is set up to save you some money. Essentially, you're going to be paying him a fee to help you design your project, but he will also help you stay within your budget as long as you're honest with the budget. He should be able to keep your construction costs and so forth in line. So if you are out there and you are thinking about a project, the next step would obviously be to pick up the phone book or call, myself at Arca Future, 845-351-2600, a fully, design and development firm that can help you out with any scale project, from basements right on to 3,000 or 4,000 square foot additions. And we've been doing this for 20 years, and we have a very good track record, and we really enjoy meeting with new people and coming up with new ideas for new projects. And the investment in the design will always save you on the construction. So you have to, you look at it as that the fee will actually be saving you a large percentage in construction costs because the design will then reflect, new and modern materials, new timbers, new spans, longer spans, and he will be able to spend your dollar and stretch your dollar in the construction phase a lot better than if you went out and worked directly with the builder.
back again. It's Mike again, Mike Ash. I think a quick thing we'd like to do is let people know that the ABCs of Home Improvement, with the show is named, will involve the next few weeks. We're planning on the next couple of months, and where we're going to discuss each show involving home improvement. The three of us together probably have over 60 years of experience. Maybe that's a little shy. Maybe it's closer to 65. But I don't want to tell you how old we really are.
Right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Earl does too, I'm sure. You know, we have some emails here that came in for us over the last week while we were starting to put the show together. And one of the big things is always, you know, do we need a building permit, Mike, when we're doing our home improvement process? What kind of things do we need permits for? What don't we need permits for? Are we going to get in trouble when we refinance and so forth? So, you know,
Subject comes up a lot.
That's a broad question. And each project probably stands on its own merit. You'd have to, again, bring a consultant out, or you could yourself, as the homeowner, go to the building department and explain to them the scope of work and what you're trying to accomplish. And usually the building inspector will advise you appropriately if you need a permit, or if not, if you don't need a permit. And then if you need the permits, obviously you have to get professionals involved again.
Everyone I've ever spoken to has that same type of feeling, and I always tell them before you go, it really behooves them to actually talk to a professional, someone who does this on a regular basis, so they can get most of their questions set up before they go and feel more comfortable at that point also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You see much more of that than I do, too.
Well, and what about the other question that comes up here in these emails is responsibilities, you know, of the permits. Is that the builder's responsibility? Is the homeowner responsible? You know, who is actually responsible for the permitting of the project? Is it the architect? Is it the general contractor? Is it the construction manager? So
It always comes down to who owns the house, you know what I'm saying?
well, to be sure, if you're going to hire a representative to do this work for you and represent you out there, this is where, again, the interviewing process comes in, because the person who takes out the permit is most likely the person that's going to be with you for the next 2 to 3 months in a sort of small-term, short-term marriage, so to speak. So you might,
Partnership, for sure.
the partnership, you have to really be secure on that selection at the front end of the process, that you will be guided properly through the entire process, and it will be an enjoyable experience. Should be a lot of fun for everybody.
The only reason it's going to be enjoyable is because you're going to know ahead of time what's going to take place.
Correct.
I mean, people like Lee and people who run construction jobs on a regular basis, which we all do, bottom line is you see it every single day. And for us, it's not unknown, you know what I'm saying? There are times where we call the inspectors, we review things with them. As long as we're on key with them and talk to them up front and give them the idea what's going on, everything works pretty easy. It really does.
Exactly. Well, if we want to, Earl, you want to get back to the process again, because we were talking about the process there. We're in the, I know you say slow it down. We went through some of the things, but let's just talk about the process in general terms again and sort of recap some of the things we went over today. From starting at the beginning again with the budget, a very important thing. You know, we just can't reiterate it enough. You know, people sort of, you know, as an architect, when I go out and talk with people, they're very, very apprehensive about giving you a budgetary number, because it feels that you will classify them at a certain level based on their budget, and therefore, you know, there's certain things that happen at a dollar amount, and that's not true. You want to be able to have a clear-cut picture, and again, this is where the trust issue and the comfort issue has to come in. If you're not comfortable with the person sitting across the table or next to you at the table, that you're discussing a big investment of $100,000, $200,000, or even a small investment of $10,000 or $15,000 to do a kitchen or bathroom, you're not with the right person. It's time to move on to the next person. You have to allow somebody to be the manager and be able to be a surety for you and allow you to come up with the funds, get the funds that are available, work with the funds, and make sure your project goes from start to finish
It moves nicely.
with the amount of money that you have budgeted. And that is what a good design build firm does, Mike. And again, I can't say it enough. American Design and Build has been on the number for the last 15 years on their projects, and they're always waiting to hear from you on some new projects. 283-6763.
Very good. Yes, develop a plan, get your budget, execute the plan. Let's. I think the key is communication.
Right. This is where that's
because
correct.
on a lot of projects they go south because there's no communication. There's nobody there that the homeowner or your customer, your client, can talk to. You need to speak English, and you got to have somebody there during the day that's going to go
Edu-
over the selections and why this is done and why that's being done, because they ask questions and they don't know.
That's
So-
correct.
Open
That's correct.
communication.
And again, being in this business for 20 some odd years, there's something that, I'm going to throw this one out there, and Earl knows about it, and so does Mike. It's called unforeseen conditions. And this is where most contractors fail in their jobs in communicating, is that something will arise in an addition, a very small thing, but it could be on a $15,000 job, it could be a $1,200 or $1,500 extra, which is right now 10% of that job, because a plumbing device is broken, or you have some sort of an electrical issue, or a service needs to be upgraded, or a change has to happen in order for these new things to occur that was inside of a wall or was hidden before.
Unforeseen.
And a lot of these contractors skip by it, or they don't tell the homeowner, and then at the end of the project, there's this big, $2,000 or $4,000 number that's thrown at them as a surprise. We at American Design and Build we have a 24-hour period. If you find something in the while you're doing the construction that is not in the contract, or that is something that was unforeseen, you must tell the homeowner and give them a number for it, and then it's up to them if they want to move forward with this process to make the allocated payment so that we can move forward. And again, this is why when we say in the budget you should keep 10 to 20% back for these types of things. It's not uncommon for that to occur.
Unforeseen.
Unforeseen conditions, very big one, and not a lot of the contractors want to talk to you about that.
When you open the can of worms, you open your
Worms.
checking account.
That's it. That's right. And a good design build company will probably be able, because of their experience, to anticipate 80% of those, but there's still 10 to 20% of those which are just uncommon things. Each house has its own archaeology and history, and the way that the old builder had put it together, you may find these things still occurring. So it's a hit or miss, but we are very good and very accurate when it comes to those types of things because we specialize in that.
Yeah, well, that's what we do. Again, this is our inaugural show, and we are here on 9/11, 5 years after, and these phone lines are not lighting up. But
Well,
You know.
people might be solemn today.
yeah, give
Earl.
us a
You know,
call,
it's-
and we can talk about that, because
It's
I
a-
want to talk about that. I want to talk about a little bit about what's going on over there,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and where's it going, and what's going on.
Yep.
And I'd like to hear from the people to call in. 11:10 a.m. WTBQ. The phone number is 651-1110.
ABC of Home Improvement is here today to have a talk show, have people call in and understand that whatever questions come up, we'll be happy to work with them. Lee's an architect. I'm a kitchen cabinet supplier. And Earl, what are you doing, Earl?
Well, a little bit of everything and master of none.
So we're going to let that go and just keep them in mind throughout the show as we have been. And if you folks have something to say, please give us a call. And,
Feel free to give us a call,
Right.
really.
Okay, Mike. So let's say you're buying a new home that's already been constructed, and you're moving in, which a lot of people do, and the basements aren't finished and so forth. And we want to discuss maybe a little bit on the refinishing or finishing of a basement on a brand new home that the builder
Most
normally.
of them just come into a concrete basement.
Right. That's it.
There's nothing there but a couple of vertical pipes holding up the house. There's usually a hot water heater. There's usually a furnace. and
Hopefully
there's-
not leaking like the gentleman who.
I would hope not with a new house. At least be 15, 20 years before that happens. But with all that in mind, you have to come up with an idea. What do you want to use the space for? Having an idea, having an idea with the kids' ages. You may want to set up an office downstairs. People are working in their homes now a lot. You might want to have additional recreational facilities for the kids. You have to come up with what your needs are, primarily what you want to use the space for. You might not know how to lay it out, and that's something a professional can definitely help you with. But the concept is that you need additional space as long as it's available within the confines of the building.
Right. Now, this is an economical build. This is space that's already, in the ground, completed. There's no external work that needs to be done. You have the utilities and services right there for a heating loop. If you need, most of the times, a builder will put in a future stub down there in the slab for a bathroom. So the question is, what do you need down there? Basement areas? Do you need bathrooms? Do you need bedrooms? Do you
So
need
many options.
Media rooms, ping pong table rooms, so on and so forth. We've seen the gambit, Mike. We've
You
seen
can
it.
split it in half. You can make 3 sections, 4 sections. It becomes down to the needs of the individual again.
Right. So the question is then these types of jobs. Again, you get involved with these types of jobs, Mike. What is the average cost, let's say, per square foot if somebody's thinking about doing a basement addition Say without the finished flooring. Just
what was this? We talked about this the other day. Just doing a basic electrical, putting those studs in the walls up. What did we figure that to?
like $26 to $27 a square foot.
26 to 28 was
without
a real number.
flooring. So if you have 1,000 square foot worth of basement there, and you're not putting in a bathroom, this is just now, just
Basic.
finishing it off. No egress window either. A lot of times now, this is another issue that you have to watch for. And again, this comes up to the code requirements and so forth. If it is going to be a habitable space, and you're going to be using that basement in
For
some
living.
fashion for living, there needs to be a means of egress that has to be
Let's
provided.
explain what we're talking about, because you and I understand this.
Okay.
Earls. Living space is somewhere where you're anticipating a bedroom. If you're planning on living downstairs, as far as a teenager becoming of age, you want to give them a separate space, or an in-law moving in, or someone going to be living in that space as a real entity.
Stick them down in the basement.
That's what
That's
usually
right,
happens.
Earl. There you go.
Earl knows about
Yeah,
that.
that's what they do.
Well, you put them down in the basement, then it costs you a little more than the $27 a square
But
foot.
where Mike's going is the local codes and the laws tell you, they got to be able to get out.
Right,
In case
exactly.
something
A
happens.
second egress to the building. That's
Yes.
all it's about.
Okay, so
And that now adds, there's numbers involved. There's a special unit that's made by Bilco. We'll throw the name out there, and it is an egress window. It's a prefabricated unit, and those run anywhere between $5,000 and $7,000, depending on the Anderson window or the Pella window.
And those are legal.
And those are legitimate, and that adds, again, if you're looking at that 1,000 square foot basement that you're going to finish for about $27,000, now at the $5,000 or $6,000 added for the egress window, you're at a $30,000 to $32,000 project.
You got to remember something. There's a right way and a wrong way of doing everything. And the right way is to have a second egress out of the building.
Correct.
It's like insurance, and I don't like to bring that up too often, insurance, but you got to have a second source every time it does come up. It's just playing it safe. That's all it's about.
And again, if you complete this basement project and later on you go to sell your house or you go to refinance it
And it's not the right way done.
and it hasn't been done correctly, now you're going to run into a problem where you have to do work after you've completed work, and now that means double the
Delays,
cost,
delays.
economic damage. So you want to be able to think this project through and look at the long-term use of that space and make the appropriate decisions.
I always like looking at the overall project and making the decision. I might not use all of it right now, but I might need half of it or a quarter of that basement. But if I know what I want to do with the basement, I can then schedule it the way it works best for me.
Well, Mike, let's get back to that. We're going to take a break here at the WABCs of Home Improvements, and give us a shout at 651-1110.
welcome back. Welcome back to the ABCs of Home Improvement. I'm Earl here with Lee and Mike, and we are going to, tell you about our sponsor, American Design and Build. Is our sponsor here at this program, and they can be reached at 845-283-6763. We do need this is our first program, and we do need a jingle coming in. I've been working all weekend and really haven't come up with much, but we're going to.
Yep.
We're going to. I was thinking of the Jackson 5,
That's right.
A, B, C.
That's it, Earl. I like that. All right.
All right, and so the thing's going to be worked out, but we do have a plan, and we're going to take you through the design and build process here at the ABCs. We are going to we're going to continue finishing up this basement now that we've started. We've developed a plan, and we're putting together a budget, and
Is
now we're
Grandma
going to get
coming
busy.
down this time or what?
Yeah.
So Grandma doesn't need too much. She's not cooking.
Well, if she's got the walker, she's got to be. She's got to be able to get out. God forbid,
Right.
the heater starts smoking or something.
Does she have to get out with the pool cue? Because she is a pool hustler and she needs the pool table down there in the basement,
Absolutely.
too. Right? That's the real grandma that we're
Grandma's
talking about.
getting out. Don't worry. Grandma's got 2 steps to get to that window, and off she goes.
Well, let's just say this: if you're going to be doing this basement project, who do you call in? Are you going to call in a guy that's, let's say, you're going to call up a big general contractor to come in that does, custom homes and so forth? Are you going to call in a guy that's used to doing, 1,500,
Replacements.
2,000 square foot additions? Or are you going to call up somebody that's specialized? We got a call here on the mic box here that Mike's got here in the studio, coming in from the Home Improvements. Anyone that we need to speak with, Mike?
No, we'll hold them off.
All right, they're on hold until 1 o'clock. Until 2 o'clock, excuse me. So there's a certain type of contractor that specializes in these small bathroom, kitchen, and basement renovations. And again, this is our sponsor, American Design and Build, trying to position the company appropriately because these types of jobs don't get the type of treatment. The client doesn't really get the kind of treatment that they need. So we are out there trying to really service that marketplace because a lot of these builders wind up handing things off to subcontractors and never really interfacing directly with the client. And what are you getting? You don't really get what you're paying for, and you don't really have a satisfying experience. So again, when it comes to certain types of projects, there are certain contractors for each type of project, and we'd just like it to come to your attention that select the right person for the right job, because that is, again, one of the biggest mistakes that the homeowner can make.
What was the name of that company again?
So, American Design and Build, okay? 283-6763. Website's being created so you can see some of our past projects that we've worked on and some of the reviews and things that clients have said about the company and how their experience was. So we're looking for you to give us a call. We're tailing off the show here. We got about 5 minutes left here. 651-1110. Give us a holler with any of your home improvement questions, and we're going to go back down to Granny in the basement. All right, Mike, go ahead.
Back to that basement. Granny's okay. She needs a place to sleep. She needs a place to go to have her own bathroom, which would be very nice to do as long as you got the stubs in from the builder. And she only needs about half the basement at this time.
So do we move Granny upstairs during the process, or does she come down with the tool belt and she gives us a
until
hand?
the job is ready.
Does she bring us any
It's
coffee?
going to be our
or?
project until we're ready to
All
give
right,
it
so
to her.
so Granny's out. So now the first step is cleaning up and preparing that basement for work.
Yeah, we got to design what the anticipation is, what we're going to do with the space. But so
Okay.
far, we're creating a bedroom, a bathroom, and a small sitting area so she can have some
Sitting
private time for herself.
Okay, so you have 3 rooms down there, and again, when we're talking about rooms for sort of the elderly, let's put it that way.
You
Anyone
have to
that's-
make a little arrangements to make it a little bit wider also,
Right,
just in
so-
case she doesn't.
exactly.
She needs some additional, a chair or a walker or whatever it might be. The basic 2-foot door, 2.5-foot door is not big enough.
So this is right. This is where, again, the designer can come in and get you some 3-foot wide doors, and again, when you're thinking about a bathroom for somebody, even
additional grips.
if
and-
they're in great shape now, you never know what the future holds, and God forbid something happens, you're gonna have to modify that bathroom that you just spent your $5,000 or $6,000 on down
Let's
there.
do it now instead of later.
So let's prepare now for something.
Let's think of all these things before
right.
Granny comes down. You know what I'm saying?
So again, this is how the basement's being used in this instance. So if you are going to be using this for somebody who's going to be living down there and they're going to intend on coming up, for 6 months out of the year and spending time with you, and their health deteriorates, you want to be able to bring them into your house and not have to do too much modification to the work that's already been done. So for a little bit extra money at the front end, you make the building process handicapped accessible, and you allow for these things to take place if they have to without any change in the plan from start to finish.
And no one's going to notice it either when it's done, that it was a handicap
Right.
setup.
No, everything looks residential, very clean look. I mean, we've been doing these now for 5 or 6 years. Throw this one out to Louis Tool out there because we finished up that one. And so, we are capable of doing this type of thing.
So I'm looking for someone to call in on the basement because that's really what we'd like to see today also.
Yeah.
So we're not in today. You can give us the station a call, leave a message for us, the ABCs of Home Improvement.
Yes, and recommend this show to your friends. Tell them to listen in next week. And if you can't get us by radio, you can stream us on www.wtbq.com from 1 to 2. And I believe they're going to rebroadcast this on the internet there from 8 to 9 on Thursday evening. So look for us there. And again, email us with any of your questions here at the station at 1110, and we'll be able to pick up and have
Next
some
week,
answers for you next week.
Monday, 1 o'clock, the WABCs of Home Improvement.
That's right. Anything else, Earl, before we go off?
All said. What a wonderful show.
Wonderful show. Good
I'm
seeing
glad the three
everybody
of us
today.
got together in the
and
afternoon.
Rich, thanks a lot. That was good for an intro there. And again, our hearts and minds are with you people on 9/11 today, a day when America stepped up.
Amen.